I wasn't supposed to be seated. That was the first problem. I had planned to blend in, stand near the bar, pretend I was part of catering, scribble fake notes into a leather notebook I bought just for the occasion. My whole plan relied on staying invisible. Then a server walked up, smiled, and said, "Mr. Burnell, we've been expecting you. Table 7, right this way." I panicked, because that's not my name. But when she handed me the place card, there it was. E. Burnell plus guest. The tag I'd stolen from the RSVP stack on Mara's desk. I had hoped it was a generic code for vendor entry or valet access. I never expected it to come with a full-course meal and direct eye contact. But I couldn't back out now. I nodded, followed her through the glittering ballroom, and sat down next to a woman who introduced herself as Sasha from HR. She was polite, talkative, too observant. "You don't look like an Everett," she said, squinting at my badge. "I get that a lot," I mumbled, taking a sip of sparkling water and pretending to read the wine list. Across the table, there she was, Mara, my wife, laughing, radiant, absolutely thriving in her designer blazer, completely unaware that her husband was 6 chairs away under a fake name and a stolen identity. I don't know what I expected to feel seeing her there. Relief? Vindication? Regret? But what I felt was dread. Because at that exact moment, she leaned in toward the man beside her, a man with a rose-gold tie and a Rolex that glinted like a lie, and she did the thing. That little thing she used to do with me during dinners, when she'd fold her napkin just slightly and set it to the left instead of on her lap. That was our signal. The don't talk business, just be mine signal. I stared at her hand on the napkin. I stared at his smirk when he noticed it. He moved his hand over hers. And I swear, my ears started ringing. It wasn't just a napkin trick anymore. It was a ritual, and I had just watched her perform it for someone else. I forced myself to eat a salad I couldn't taste, listened to Sasha rant about budget cuts, laughed at the right times. I even clapped during the CEO's speech. But my eyes never left Mara. Then things got worse. Table 7 was invited to the executive lounge for after-dinner drinks. And Mara went. With him. With the man in the rose-gold tie. So I followed them. Through the corridor. Past the velvet ropes. And into the dimly lit side room reserved for partners and closers. That's where everything began to unravel. Because what I heard in that lounge, behind a cracked door and a wall of laughter, wasn't just flirtation. It was a plan. And my name was part of it. I should have walked away. I should have taken the weird fake name badge and left the whole thing behind. But the second I heard her laugh again, muffled, coming from just behind the frosted glass panel of the lounge door, something twisted inside me. I wasn't just curious anymore. I was consumed. I hovered by the hallway, pretending to look for the restroom, while the security guy standing near the curtain gave me a lazy once-over. He didn't care. Probably assumed I was some overpaid marketing consultant like everyone else in there. I adjusted my tie, the one I hadn't worn in over a year, and casually slipped through the door just as another guest exited holding 2 cocktails. Timing was everything. The lounge was darker than the main hall. Softer. More velvet than glass. Low music throbbed under the buzz of private conversations, and the lighting came from fake candles flickering on every gold tray. The air reeked of expensive gin and perfume that cost more than our monthly rent. I spotted her almost immediately, Mara, sitting on a plush leather couch with that man again. He had taken off his suit jacket, his white shirt rolled just enough to show off a luxury watch and a tan line that screamed business class to Bali. She was holding his drink. Holding his drink. Like she had every right to. Like she'd done it before. I slid behind a tall ficus plant in a bronze pot and tried to calm my breathing. This was insane. I was hiding behind indoor shrubbery while my wife played house with someone else. Was this real? Was I really seeing this? Then they started talking. Too close, too confident, and way too comfortable for 2 people who were supposed to be just co-workers. He said something about the next phase and how Ellis still doesn't see it. My name. He said my name. I moved closer, ducking behind a pillar. She responded, voice low, smooth, almost bored. He's harmless, she said, swirling her wine. Still thinks the late nights are about reports. I don't even think he knows how to log into my work email. That stung more than I expected. The dismissal in her voice. The sheer ease with which she made me sound like a joke. I wanted to storm out, but I kept listening. Besides, she added, he won't get in the way. I've already taken care of it. The papers are signed, He just doesn't know they've been processed yet. The room spun for a second. Papers? Processed? I reached for the edge of the pillar to keep myself upright. My hands were shaking, and not from the cold. I wanted to believe I'd misheard. That maybe this was about work. Maybe it was about some client, some harmless legal form. Anything other than what I was now beginning to realize was the truth. Divorce. She was talking about divorcing me. Not planning to. Not threatening to. Already done. Already signed. And I had no idea. I stumbled out of the lounge before I could hear another word. My legs moved on their own, carrying me past the waiters, the fake laughter, the clinking glasses. I didn't even remember how I got to the parking garage. My phone buzzed as I opened the car door. Mara, long night. Heading home in a bit. Love you. Love you. That was the moment I realized I wasn't just being cheated on. I was being replaced. And they'd already started the paperwork. I didn't go home that night. I drove in circles for almost 2 hours, too numb to feel the cold leather seat against my back or the buzzing of my phone lighting up the passenger seat. Her name flashed on the screen 6 times, little smiling emojis at the end of each message, as if I didn't already know the smile she was faking in text was the same one she had just given him in that lounge. I couldn't bring myself to answer. I pulled into a grocery store parking lot around midnight and just sat there in the dark, staring at the overhead lamps flickering above empty shopping carts. What was I even doing? Was I really going to just keep pretending everything was fine? She already filed the paperwork, already lied to my face, already rehearsed her story for the man who's probably been sleeping in my place long before I ever noticed the couch pillows were being fluffed a little differently. I wanted answers. Not the polite, rehearsed ones she would give if I confronted her too early. I wanted raw, undeniable proof. Something that would make even her stutter when I laid it in front of her. So I waited until I was sure she was asleep. 2:24 a.m. Her last message said, "Finally home. Exhausted. Talk tomorrow?" I texted back, "Glad you made it home. Love you." I wanted her to believe I was still blind. When I got home, I parked 2 streets over. Didn't turn on any lights. Took my shoes off at the door and crept through the living room like a burglar in my own house. I stood outside the bedroom door and heard her soft breathing, steady, rhythmic. She was asleep, or pretending, but I couldn't risk waking her. So I went to the guest room and waited until the sun cracked the edge of the curtains. I barely blinked. By 7 a.m., she was up, rushed shower, light makeup, grabbed a banana, kissed my cheek without looking me in the eye. "Off to meetings," she said. "Don't wait up, drinks with the team after." She was out the door before I could answer. I didn't go to work that day. I made coffee just for the routine of it, then sat down at her home office desk, the one she'd gotten so secretive about. I used to sit there while she worked, read magazines, talk about nothing. Now it was off limits. She told me it helped her mentally separate spaces. I used to think that sounded smart. Now I knew it was a wall. Her password hadn't changed. Still the name of her childhood cat, and the year we got married. I wish it had been harder. Would have felt less like betrayal if it took effort. It was all there. Folder names like Q4 targets and client retainers hit a private folder marked with a single emoji, a lock. Inside, PDFs, scans, drafts, final versions. One caught my eye immediately. Subject, Barton, Mara versus Barton, Ellis. Petition for dissolution of marriage, uncontested filing. My stomach turned. I opened it slowly, like it might explode. And there it was, her signature, dated a week ago. Filed under her maiden name. Not a word to me. No confrontation. No conversation. No anger. Just elimination. Like I was a spreadsheet row she'd quietly deleted while sipping her morning espresso. But something else bothered me. A small detail. Something off. There was a second signature space. Mine. Blank. She had submitted a draft with my signature already typed in, waiting for the real thing to be slapped over it. The witness line had been signed by someone named Benji T. Howarth. I didn't know what to feel first. Anger, nausea, or the chilling realization that the man she flirted with over wine was not just her affair partner. He was her accomplice. And whatever they were planning, I wasn't meant to survive it with anything left. I didn't leave the office for hours. I was afraid if I stepped away, even for a second, the truth would disappear like a bad dream. But this wasn't a dream. The papers were real. The witness was real. The signature line was real. And the message behind all of it was clear. I was being removed like a polite inconvenience. But I needed more. Something undeniable. Something not just for me, but for a lawyer, for a courtroom, for anyone who might eventually have to hear my side when she decided to flip the narrative and call it irreconcilable. So I started digging through the rest of her folders, anything she might have thought was hidden under the noise of spreadsheets and PowerPoints. That's when I found the photos. Or more accurately, the backup folder to the photos she had deleted. It was buried deep, not in the usual pictures or downloads directory. No, she'd hidden it under a folder labeled resource_archive_2017, inside another one called Old UX Briefs. I only found it by accident, dragging a window too far and seeing a thumbnail flash for half a second. I clicked it. I shouldn't have. There were over 70 images, all time-stamped over the past 3 months. Same locations she claimed to be working late from. Same outfits I remember seeing in the hamper when she got home. Only she wasn't alone in any of them. Benji, that smug, overconfident, wristwatch-wearing parasite appeared in nearly every photo. Sometimes in restaurants. Sometimes in conference rooms. Once on a hotel balcony, his shirt half unbuttoned, her hair blowing in the wind, the ocean behind them glimmering like it was part of their delusion. In some pictures, their hands were intertwined beneath the table. In others, her legs were resting on his lap while she scrolled through her phone like I didn't even exist. I stared at those images, one by one, until I couldn't feel my fingers. And then I saw the last one. It wasn't like the others. It was a screenshot, a text thread. The top of the image showed her name, Mara Briefcase. Underneath, the messages were clear. Benji, he won't see it coming. I've got the contacts if we want to fast-track it. Mara, I just need 1 more week. His name's still on the mortgage. After that, take it all. He can keep the couch. Benji, can't wait for you to be done pretending. Mara, already halfway gone, babe. Just need the signature. I read that last line 10 times. Just need the signature. The photos were sickening, but that sentence was a knife. She wasn't just cheating. She was calculating, positioning, scheming. Every dinner we shared, every kiss goodbye, every how was your day, wasn't guilt. It was stalling. And now I finally understood why the divorce papers had my name typed at the bottom like a dotted line waiting for the stupid, loyal husband to connect it. I copied the entire folder to a flash drive. 2, actually. One went into the glove compartment of my car. The other went into my gym bag under the dirty towels she'd never touch. I didn't know what I was going to do with them yet, but I wasn't going to be caught off guard again. And then, just as I was about to shut the laptop, I heard the key in the front door. She was home. 3 hours early. With company. I closed the laptop and froze. Because 2 sets of footsteps were coming down the hall, and one of them wasn't hers. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a script, a cover, an excuse, or even time to shut down the screen. The laptop was still wide open on her desk, displaying the folder I had just unearthed. Every photo, every message, every hidden truth glowing on the screen like a silent confession. I had seconds. No more. The front door creaked open fully. 2 voices now. Hers and someone else's. A man's, low, casual, too comfortable to be anyone from work. I heard laughter, then a pause, then something that froze my blood in place. A key jingling again. She was locking the deadbolt. From the inside. That wasn't a quick drop-by. That wasn't coffee with a colleague. That was her making sure they wouldn't be interrupted. I backed away from the office desk like I was leaving a crime scene. I didn't even try to close the folders. I wanted her to see them. Let her wonder how long I'd known. Let her scramble for lies. I crept down the hallway, past the kitchen, into the guest room, and shut the door softly. Not locked. I wanted her to feel brave enough to look for me, and I wanted to hear every word when she did. I sat on the edge of the bed, gripping the flash drive in my pocket like it was the last thing tethering me to reality. I heard them laughing again. Footsteps. Heavier ones now. Heading toward the office. Her voice drifted closer. You can leave your bag in here. He's not home. A pause. Then his voice. Benji. Calm. Annoyingly smooth. You sure? Mara chuckled. He wouldn't dare come home early. He thinks I'm at a finance seminar in Fremont. The lie rolled off her tongue like it meant nothing. I heard the office chair creak as someone sat down. A few seconds later, silence. And then, what the hell is this? Benji's voice was sharp. Not playful anymore. She said nothing at first. Then the quick shuffle of feet. The unmistakable sound of a laptop snapping shut. More silence. Then a hiss. barely audible. He saw it. She didn't have to say who. She meant me. Did you show him? Benji asked. No. No. This wasn't open before. I swear He cut her off. This isn't good, Mara. If he has the texts, he has leverage. You said he was clueless. He was, she snapped. He's soft. He's passive. He won't do anything. I stood up, quietly, pressed my palm to the doorframe, and leaned in to hear every word. You don't get it, Benji said. If he files first with this kind of evidence, it flips everything. Spousal support, property division. He could bury us. You especially. I almost laughed. The panic in his voice sounded like music. He didn't care about her. Not really. He was worried about his own wallet, his own reputation. And Mara? She was caught between her fake confidence and the real fallout she never planned for. What do we do? She whispered. Find him, he replied. Figure out how much he saw. Get him to sign something. Anything. Tell him it's a tax thing. Get the signature. If he gets a lawyer first, you're screwed. Footsteps again, coming toward the hallway. I stepped back from the door just as her hand twisted the knob. She opened it slowly, already halfway into a performance she hadn't rehearsed properly. Her eyes widened when she saw me standing there, arms crossed, staring at her like a stranger. Oh, she breathed, trying to smile. You're home. I didn't say a word. I just stared. Benji appeared behind her, jaw tight. Ellis, right? Hey man, look, this is a bit of a... Don't, I cut in. Don't talk to me like you're in this house legally. Mara stepped in front of him like she was shielding a guest from a wild animal. Ellis, let's just talk. You want to talk? I said quietly. Go back in the office. Open the laptop. Start with the last photo. And then explain how I'm just a placeholder on a mortgage you plan to wipe clean. She froze. For once, she didn't have a line ready. And that silence? That was the first honest thing she'd given me in months. She didn't move at first. She just stood there, blinking, as if I'd spoken a different language. Maybe she expected me to yell. Maybe she was waiting for the big meltdown. But I didn't give her that. I just held her gaze like I was reading through the final page of a long, boring book, one I didn't even like. Benji stepped forward, puffing up like a guy who hadn't realized the room had shifted. Look, man, I don't know what you think you saw. Everything. I cut in, eyes still on her. I saw everything. Mara opened her mouth, closed it again, then finally said, You shouldn't have gone through my files. You shouldn't have planned my erasure like it was a PowerPoint presentation. I shot back. She looked away. Not guilty, annoyed. Like I was a problem she thought she'd already solved. You were never supposed to find out this way, she muttered. I tilted my head. Oh, what way then? A text? A note on the fridge? Maybe a happy little brunch where you casually hand me pre-signed divorce papers under a mimosa? She had nothing. Benji tried again. This doesn't have to be messy. If you just sign. You know what's funny? I said, turning to him. You really think you're the one she's going to stay with. But you're just the distraction she used to keep me busy while she rearranged her life. She'll do it to you too. Except she already forged your signature once. Remember that lease application I found in her inbox? That made him blink. I hadn't seen it, of course. But bluffing works better when guilt's already in the room. Mara's lips parted in protest, but she knew better than to deny it with him standing there. You're both so eager to write me out of this story, I said quietly. But I'm the only one who still knows how it ends. Then I walked past them, slow, calm, and went straight to the front door. Behind me, neither of them said a word. They didn't stop me. They didn't follow. Because for the first time, they didn't know what I was going to do next. And that terrified them. I didn't go to a hotel. I didn't go to my brother's, or my cousin's couch, or even Wade's place. Although he called twice asking if he needed to grab a bat and come over. No, I drove straight to the bank. The same one where Mara and I opened a joint account 5 years ago when we bought the house. The same one where she promised, we're a team now. Funny how fast a team becomes a transaction. I didn't clean out the account. I didn't even touch most of it. That's what she expected. Drama, damage, a desperate grab for control. No, I withdrew one exact amount. Enough to get me 3 months in a furnished rental, a private mailbox, and a lawyer who didn't blink when I said, I'm not interested in revenge. I'm interested in proof. I filed the paperwork the same day. Quietly. I didn't even use my regular email. I started fresh. New phone number, new login, new password to everything. I locked her out of every shared platform. Netflix, Amazon, the grocery rewards account, even the stupid app we use to track the dog's medication. Every breadcrumb of daily life she thought she still controlled, gone. Then I disappeared. I didn't tell her where I was going. Didn't leave a note. Didn't even leave my keys. Just walked away. Like she'd been planning to do for months. Only I beat her to it. The next day, I watched from across the street in a borrowed car as she came home from work. Alone. Benji was nowhere in sight. She tried her key. It didn't work. She pulled out her phone, probably calling me. My old number gave her a deadline. She stood on the porch for 10 minutes, pacing, furious. I didn't smile. Not because I wasn't satisfied, but because the satisfaction wasn't in her panic. It was in the silence. Because for the first time, she was the one standing outside the story. She wasn't prepared for that. By the time she finally tracked down my lawyer, 2 days and 4 emails later, she was already unraveling. I got a forwarded message from her the following afternoon. Subject line, "This isn't you." No apology. No admission. Just the classic fallback of people caught red-handed. Confusion. Like somehow I was the one acting out of character for not letting myself be betrayed quietly. I didn't respond. Instead, I had my lawyer send over one photo. Not of her and Benji. Not of the fake divorce draft. Just the screenshot. The text. The one where she wrote, "After that, take it all. He can keep the couch." And that was it. That was the whole message. Because she was right about one thing. I did keep the couch. But she lost the house. And the moment she realized I wasn't going to fight for her, that I had already walked away without asking for a single thing back, that's when she broke. That's when the calls started. The first voicemail was cautious. A soft, almost sweet tone. "Ellis, I don't know where you are, but I think we should talk. This isn't like you. Just call me, okay?" I didn't. The second message was shakier. "You're being dramatic." I didn't mean it like that. It wasn't. God, it wasn't supposed to go this far. It already had. By the 5th voicemail, she was crying. "I was stupid. I thought you didn't care anymore. But you did. You always did. I messed everything up, Ellis. Please. Just let me explain." But I'd heard her explain already. Just not to me. The final message didn't come through voicemail. It was hand-delivered, a letter left at the front desk of my building, folded neatly in the kind of envelope you only buy when you want your words to look more honest. I waited 3 days before opening it. It was long. Pages of justifications, regret, rewrites of memory. She said she didn't know why she fell for Benji, only that he made her feel excited again. She said I was stable, safe, too predictable. But the real knife came later, when she admitted that she never expected me to leave first, that she thought I'd cling. That word told me everything I needed to know. She had fallen in love with the fantasy of someone else, but built it on the bones of someone who never stopped showing up for her. And when she saw that man, me, quietly let go of the rope instead of pulling harder, she didn't know what to do. And she never would. I didn't reply to the letter, but I did send one of my own, short, simple, just 1 page. I didn't list everything she'd done. I didn't rehash the pain. I didn't mention the emails, the texts, or even Benji. I just wrote, "Thank you for giving me the silence I needed to hear myself again. I forgive you, but I'm already gone. Ellis." And I meant it. A month later, I signed the finalized divorce papers. No lawyers battled. No property was contested. She kept the car. I kept the couch. And my peace. Now, I wake up in a quiet little apartment 2 blocks from the bay. I take walks before sunrise. I make my own coffee, badly, but on purpose, because it reminds me I'm the one holding the cup. I joined a gym. Started painting again. It's awful. I love it. And sometimes, in the evening, I sit on that old couch, the one she said I could keep, like a consolation prize, and I smile. Because what she saw as leftover, I now see as a foundation.